Okay, we are going to talk about why we do stair drop exercise, why it's so valuable for so many different body parts. Stair drop is needed for rehab of the ankle, the foot, ankle, knee, hip, and low back. The reason for that is gravity drop is going to give us two significant results. The first is increased ankle dorsiflexion. Ankle dorsiflexion, if you look down at this leg, is this motion. That's called ankle dorsiflexion. Different than this motion would be plantar flexion. Another way of thinking of it is this is dorsiflexion, this is plantar flexion. Another way of thinking of it, because this is going to be the exercise, this is dorsiflexion. So what, you might say? So why do we need ankle dorsiflexion if you're here for your low back? Well, here's the reason. We walk all the time. And we, in walk, have a front leg and a back leg. It's called the front legging gait, back legging gait. Front leg, back leg. The back leg, when you walk, requires 15 to 20 degrees of dorsiflexion for proper mechanics in walking. For the proper mechanics in walking for your ankle, knee, hip, and low back, you need that much bend in your ankle, and you need that much flexibility in your calf to allow that bend. So many of you have calf tightness, and with calf tightness, it can limit that 15 to 20 degrees necessary of ankle bend, ankle dorsiflexion in walking, and the result is a jamming up the chain. Particularly for those of you that are doing this exercise as part of the low back program. So if you don't have enough calf flexibility and enough ankle dorsiflexion, the consequence can be jamming of the lumbar facets for L5, L4, L3. So you get this increased shear compressive jam at the facet joints in the low back, which are just the fancy term for the low back joints. You get a shear jamming because all the way down here your calf is tight. So that's the first reason why we're doing gravity drop, is to improve that ankle dorsiflexion to give you enough mobility in the back leg in walking so that there's not a consequence somewhere else in the body. The second reason is because stair drop is going to lengthen the entire posterior fascial line. So what is that? Fascia is like a Spider-Man suit. So imagine I have a one-piece Spidey suit on, and if I pull on the corner of the Spidey suit, it could pull all the way down here. It could go like this. It could pull down here from that pull. But the point of the story is that fascia in your body covers your entire system like a Spidey suit. It covers the muscles and the ligaments and the nerves and the joints and the organs, and it's the covering of everything that connects the body as a whole. There's anatomists that have dissected fascial lines out of the body, and one of them is called the posterior fascial line, which I'm going to go through with you now because it's so important for so many conditions. The posterior fascial line starts here at the bottom of the foot. So it's the entire plantar fascia. I'm going to switch legs so you can see me. So it's here, the plantar fascia, bottom of the foot. It then becomes the Achilles tendon, and then it becomes the gastroc. The gastroc interdigitates that fascia with the hamstring tendon. The hamstrings in that fascia insert in the sit bone, and then from also inserting into the sit bone is the sacrotuberous ligament. That's a ligament that connects that sit bone to the sacrum. Now that fascia continues up the sacrum, up the entire spine, up the back through the erector spinae muscle fascial system, all the way to the crown of the head. Actually, that fascial line ends here in the frontal part of the cranium because it has this fascial dissection through the cranium. So what did I just say? The posterior fascial line goes from the bottom of your foot, up the back of your leg, up your buttocks, up your spine, to the top of your head. Think of it that way. So when elastin molecules in tissue lengthen, it's called a creeping. And to actually lengthen that tissue and to lengthen that fascial line and free the nerves that travel through the fascia and to give space for joints to move again, all that takes time. So this is not a quick stretch. Stair drop is ultimately, I'd like to invite you to get up to 3 minutes holding that position. You can start at 30 seconds and you can do reps. Do like 3 to 4 repetitions of 30 seconds until you feel like you can handle that without your calves. Really, it should not be that painful. It should feel like a good stretching sensation in the calves. So we're going to get to lengthen that entire posterior fascial line to restore proper joint and neural mobility. And we're going to return ankle dorsiflexion so that we can have proper mechanics in walking. So this exercise is a big player throughout the body. And a couple points, you do the stair drop on a stair. And it has to be the bottom stair, right? Just for safety. So you're always going to use the first stair that you have accessible. That's number one. Number two, so that you don't slip, you always have to do stair drop with sneakers or traction shoes that have some good traction on the bottom, tread on the bottom, nothing slippery. Number three, you have to hold on to do this exercise in the right vertical alignment. So please go to your proper standing posture and review those principles. Shoulders are moving away from one another towards opposite sides of the room. Shoulder blades are dropping back and down into the opposite back pockets. Chin is parallel with the floor beneath you, not up. Core is in and up and lengthened. So recall your ideal standing mechanics because we're going to use those in stair drop exercise. In order to keep those vertical alignment, ideal alignment, so we can release that posterior fascial line in the correct pelvic position, you have to hold on. I would prefer you're holding on with both hands. I don't have a rail here. You could use a railing and a wall. You can do it as I'm about to show you with just one hand holding on. Just be aware that the tendency is for the pelvis to turn towards the holding side, and so you really don't want that. You want the feet to stay hip width apart and pelvis directly lined up, not rotating. And a couple things. So here's a quick version. You're going to come up on that stair and you're going to come into your ideal standing alignment. And I hope you can still see me. So ideal standing alignment, feet are hip width apart. You do want to make sure that when you're doing this exercise that you're perfectly even through both legs. Try not to let one leg be biased in taking more weight. The other thing is when you're going to come back onto the ball of your foot in the stair drop exercise. You want to make sure that you stay even through the ball of the foot from the big toe to the fifth toe so that you're not rolling out on your feet and you're not collapsing in. It's really important to keep that ideal structural alignment on the bottom of the foot. Equal to that, you don't want to let the heels come in when you drop them, which is what most people do. They have the tendency to come in and let the toes in the forefoot turn out. So you don't want that. You want to keep everything straight as you drop. So I'll just show you that now. Your feet are shoulder width apart, parallel. and I walk back to the ball of the foot. And once I'm here, making sure I'm still straight and parallel, the base of the second toe is going through the middle of my ankle about. I'm holding on for dear life, because the next thing, part 2, is you're going to come up really tall. And if you aren't holding on, you'd fall back because your center of gravity is behind you. So you are going to have to hold on to come up tall. And the vertical alignment is important on this exercise. And then you'll be able to drop your feet straight down, not in and not out. So you're going to be able to drop, keeping that straight alignment. And there's instructions on the next video, but the front of the thigh is your quadriceps. And it's important to keep the quadriceps, the front of the thigh, activated, tightened. You can think of pulling your kneecap up towards the ceiling, or you can think of locking your knees straight to activate the quads. You want to keep that tight to keep the pelvis in the right position. So even as you drop, don't release the front of the thighs. Keep them tense. And then hold that nice long stretch. Start at 30 seconds. Do 3 to 4 repetitions until you're ready to hold a minute, and do 2 reps of 1 minute until you can hold up to 2 minutes. And then if you can even hang out here, 2 minutes is probably enough. If you could give me 3, if you are here for the foot and ankle, you want to get up to 3 minutes eventually, but don't hurt yourself. It should feel good. Make sure I'm nice and straight. I want to talk to you, which I want to turn. You're only ever gonna feel it in the calf. Even though we're working to lengthen the whole posterior line, you won't feel it up in your back. It should not hurt the back, which is why I give it early in the back program stages, is because there's a lot of bang for your buck. You're gonna do great service to your back, but you really don't have to aggravate your back to do this. So it's an exercise for the early stages. Stair drop, fascia, ankle dorsiflexion, sneakers is a must, bottom stair, holding on, keep everything even, go to the ideal standing posture. I think that's enough. So do this exercise, it's awesome. Good luck.